Hello everyone, welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I'm broadcasting to you live from beautiful Budapest, Hungary, where again it's nice, summery, hot weather today. We are going to be looking at IELTS listening example with answers. It's June 30th. I'll give you some tips as well on how to do better. And as usual, our materials are coming from our websites at aehelp.com for academic IELTS. I'll put that up here as well, aehelp.com. And if you're looking for general IELTS help, please visit us at gieltshelp.com. That's generalieltshelp.com. Both of these websites have over 100 hours of lesson videos, most of it recorded in high definition. 6 full practice exams with audio for listening, reading, and speaking samples. There's sample answers for Task 1, Task 2 writing. You can also get writing and editing help, book practice speaking IELTS interviews. And if you haven't done it yet, try our app. Go to your Google Play Store. We have it available for Android. We're working on our Apple release. Search for Academic IELTS Help and look for our logo. Hi, Jagdeep. Hi, Stylish Course. Sweta Saima, Official Sea-Doo Royal. There's one of our sponsors, Baljeet. Nice to see you in class today. Hi, Gary Brar. Hi, Pachu. Welcome, everyone. All right, so again, today, IELTS listening. Just before we get started, if you have any questions or you're interested in booking one of these live Skype IELTS speaking interviews for practice, email me at adrian@aehelp.com. That's my name, at aehelp.com. Here's our schedule. As I mentioned, we are setting a new schedule for the first couple weeks of July. So our classes are Central European Summertime. That's CEST. Today is the 30th. And we are doing listening practice. Tomorrow, we have a sponsor chat only. One of our sponsors requested a couple of speaking part 2 explanations with some questions. Everybody can view that, but it will be set to sponsors chatting only. Then Monday, Tuesday, we do not have class on the 2nd and 3rd, and I will be back on the 4th with a writing task 1 for the academic. Now, we have always coming up sponsor chat only classes twice a week. So sponsors, please make sure that if you're watching, send us some requests. So if you have a task 2 question that you're not sure about, or there are some question types in the listening or reading that you need extra help with, you're a sponsor, so that gives you the special privilege of requesting classes. Just send us an email about that. Okay, girls and guys, so we'll get right into it with listening. This listening is coming from both of our websites. Listening is the same for academic and general. It is test number 3 in our first exam book, so it's the 3rd test in exam book number 1. And for those of you who are new to IELTS, the listening is the first part of the exam. When you sit down, it takes about 40 to 50 minutes. It has 4 sections. Each section becomes more and more difficult. Section 1 is the easiest. Your goal for section 1 is to try to get a perfect score, okay? So for section 1, you're looking for a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Section 2, you're still wanting to get a nice high score because section 3 and section 4 are more difficult. So that's where usually students lose more marks. So try to get as many correct answers as possible. Section 1 is usually something on a general topic. It's registering for school, going to the dentist, going to the doctor's office, something that's common and everyday type of situation. So here, we'll get going right away to warm you up with some listening. Have a pencil and a paper ready in front of you, okay? I'm just going to our website here. This is our academic IELTS website. It's with the blue background. The general IELTS website is with the green background. So if you're looking for general IELTS, go there. And then when you have our course, you can log in at the top. By the way, you can try the websites for free as well. And then when you're logged in, you get a little bit of a tour. There's lots of materials and help there for you for all sections of the IELTS. And right now we're going to this blue tab here. It's the one that has all of our audio CDs and MP3 Of course, they're high quality recordings, but for these live classes, because I'm using a microphone and a speaker, it's not 100%, so make sure if you're having trouble hearing, just turn up the volume on your end. Okay, hopefully everybody's ready with a paper and pencil. Tabassum, if you have a very important question, make sure to send it to me by email. There's close to 100 people watching, so I can't derail on applying for business visas just now, but if you send me an email, I'll be happy to help you out. Okay, girls and guys, have a pencil and a paper ready. Please do not write the answers into the chat. Give everybody a fair chance. Don't confuse other students, okay? We will go over the answers when we're finished. So have a pencil, paper ready, and then we will start in just a moment here. So this is test 3, so it's CD3, and it's section 1, so it's track number 1. Here we go.
Battery, 40%.
ESL tutors. You will hear several different recordings and you will answer questions on what you hear. There will be time given to read the instructions and questions, and you will be given a chance to check your work. The recordings will be played only once. The test is made up of 4 sections. At the end of the test, you will have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Now turn to section 1. Listening section 1. You will hear a conversation between 2 women as one of the women registers her daughter for nursery school. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. You will see that there is an example. This time only, the conversation relating to this question will be played.
Good afternoon, Monterey Primary, Jane speaking.
Hello, my name is Diane Johnson. I was hoping to register my daughter for nursery school at Monterey Primary.
Of course, Miss Johnson. Would you like to register your daughter for full-day nursery school, or half-day, or full-day plus after-school care?
Oh, just the half day. I don't think Matilda could handle a full day away from home just yet.
The woman says she would like to register her daughter for half-day nursery school, so A has been indicated for you. Now we begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Good afternoon, Monterey Primary, Jane speaking.
Hello, my name is Diane Johnson. I was hoping to register my daughter for nursery school at Monterey Primary.
Of course, Miss Johnson. Would you like to register your daughter for full-day nursery school, or half-day, or full-day plus after-school care?
Oh, just the half day. I don't think Matilda could handle a full day away from home just yet.
So your daughter's name is Matilda Johnson?
Yes, let me spell it for you. The first name is Matilda, Matilda, and the last name is Johnson, but it's not the common spelling. It's spelt Jonson. My husband is Swedish, which explains the different spelling.
Right. And what is Matilda's date of birth?
She was born December 25th, 2006.
So she was born at Christmas. That is incredible.
Yes, she was an incredible present to get for Christmas. It certainly was the most memorable Christmas I've had.
Yes, I would imagine. Okay, so now I need Matilda's personal education number, which she should have received in the post recently.
I don't remember receiving such a letter in the post.
It would have come from the Department of Education, and they always post things in yellow envelopes. You don't remember seeing a yellow envelope in the post?
In fact, I do, but I didn't open it. My husband did. He didn't mention anything about a personal education number. Now he's away with work and I won't be able to reach him.
Well, we can retrieve the number. I'm going to need your national insurance number as well as your husband's. I'm going to need your husband's name as well.
My husband's name is Eric, with a K instead of a C on the end. His last name is Johnson, of course. His national insurance number is DF987745W, and mine is KL 409115N.
You now have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 6 to 10.
Right, okay, let me see here. Alright, here is a personal education number. I'll give it to you now so that you can write it down for future reference. It is T56340192.
Just to make sure, the first character is T as in Thomas.
Yes, and this letter in front of the number shows what region the child is originally from. The T in this case refers to Tyne and Wear.
That would be correct, I'd imagine. Matilda was born in Newcastle, which of course is in Tyne and Wear.
Okay, so we have all the information about Matilda that we need. She is now registered for half-day nursery school in September. Do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. I was wondering what sort of training your nursery school teachers have.
That is a very good question. Each of our teachers has, at a minimum, a 2-year diploma in early childhood education. Many of our senior staff have bachelor's degrees in education in addition to the 2-year diploma, and our departmental head, Miss Janet Roth, has a postgraduate certificate, bachelor's degree and diploma. Do not worry, Miss Johnson, your daughter Matilda is in very good hands.
That makes me feel a lot better. Can you tell me when the first day of school is, and also will there be an orientation day for new students and parents?
The first day of class is the 5th of September, and yes, we do have an orientation day. It takes place on the 3rd of September from 9 to midday. Parents and children are strongly encouraged to attend.
That is the end of section 1. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
So here you should take your half minute to check your answers. And what you're checking for is spelling, and you're checking to make sure that you're paying attention to the question instructions. If it's no more than 2 words, don't have 3 words. Now, girls and guys, I want to keep rolling with the punches here, so we'll look at the answers after section 2. Notice in the beginning of this section, I purposefully went through all of the sections, okay? That's a really, really good strategy if you can do it. So when you're sitting for the listening section and you're listening to that 1 minute, 30 seconds of instruction time, the recording is copyright, etc. If you can, try to look at the information in section 3 and 4 as well, just to get your mind thinking of that more difficult section. Start to visualize, start to collect the information that you have from your own life and own experiences on those topics, because that will help you to do better when you get there for that second review chance, okay? So make sure to do that if you can. Worst case scenario, the examiner might say, hey, please don't turn to the other sections, please stay in section 1, but they don't actually say that in the instructions, so you can try that and it can really help you a lot. Okay, so let's go right into section 2, and then we'll look at answers after, and we'll work through all the way section 3 and section 4 as well. So keep your pencil and paper handy. Please do not write answers into the chat. Just write them on your paper. We will go through the answers together, but we're going to get cracking right now and keep rolling with section 2, okay? So keep focusing, keep paying attention, careful with your spelling, pay attention to the question instructions. I hope everybody's ready, because without further ado, here we go.
Now turn to section 2. Take some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Listening section 2. You will hear a recording of a university campus tour. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully to the interview and answer questions 11 to 16.
Good afternoon, everyone. If you're here for the university campus tour, you're in the correct place. There are two purposes for this tour. For prospective students, you get to see the campus where you may be studying in a few months, and you get to learn some interesting information which may convince you to look favourably on our university. For parents, you get to learn what life is like at this university, so you know where you are sending your kids off to this autumn. Before we start the tour, I'd like to give you some background information. This university was originally opened in 1686, although from 1745 to 1805 it was shut down due to a lack of funding. The university is composed of 23 buildings which were built in one of three periods. There were 4 original buildings in 1686, a dozen more buildings were constructed in the period from 1805 to 1815, and the final 7 buildings have been added in the past 10 years. So there is a fascinating mix of 17th century, 19th century and quite modern architecture. The first building we are going to look at is called the Prescott Building, named after the university's first Chancellor, William Chester Prescott. As you can probably tell, this is one of the university's original buildings completed in 1686. The building is actually quite unique in shape. It is approximately 40 metres long while only 8 metres wide. It also has these interesting circular areas attached to each corner, 4 of them in all. These 4 circular areas each house a large bell. None of the bells work today, however. As we walk in the door, I'd like to point out all of the beautiful Persian carpets on the floor. These carpets were donated to the university by a former student almost 150 years ago. It is very common for former students who have done well in life to give back to the university. Some give money, some give land, some give gifts such as Persian carpets. One former student even gave the university his pub after he died. By the way, that pub, which is located at the intersection of 3rd Street and Pine Avenue, gives students of the university a 30% discount. Now, if that's not a selling point for this university, I don't know what is. On a serious note, it is our outstanding education which makes our university a top competitor on the global front.
You now have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 17 to 20.
Before we go any further, are there any questions? No? Right then. Next we are going to visit the university library. As you see in front of the library, there is a beautiful fountain which shoots water high up in the air. Once again, the funding for the fountain came from a former student, in this case a well-known artist. It was constructed just 15 years ago at the cost of £50,000. As we step into the library, I think what you'll notice at first is the fact there are no books. Indeed, there are no books at all on the entire ground floor. On the 5 upper floors, however, there are over 3 million books. The library's collection has been built over time through private donations, gifts from former students, as well as university purchases. There is also a special collections area where there are original works dating back to the year 1588. Next on our itinerary is a visit to the sporting facilities. Here at the university we have over a dozen different facilities for almost any sport you can imagine, ranging from football and rugby to tennis and squash to archery and cricket. Our rugby team has won the national championship 3 out of the last 5 years. As you'll see on your left is a famous wall where we put pictures of.
That is the end of section 2. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
Okay, and again, make sure you spend that half minute checking your answers. So very important to do that. Don't skip to the next question because you could easily pick up 1 or 2 points if you notice some mistakes, okay? And never leave any blanks. Always make sure to take a guess if you have to. All right, let's go through the answers for Section 1 and Section 2 before we do Section 3 together. So we start off with some multiple choice questions. For multiple choice questions, you definitely want to know the answer yourself and then make a choice. Don't expect to recognize the answer from the choices. The listening or the audio is too quick for you to try to get the answer from the questions or the selections. In multiple choice, you need to have your own answer and then quickly choose the right one. That's all you have time for. All right, so girls and guys, question number 1. What is the woman's husband's nationality? So is he Swiss? Is he Swedish? Is he Swazi? So what is it? Anybody? Murasa says it's B. Let's see if we have some agreement. It's quite clear. The person actually said it. Yeah, it's Swedish. The woman says, my husband's Swedish. So yeah, we know that it's he is a Swedish man. All right, number 2. How is a child's personal education number normally received? So how does a parent get that number for number 2? Queen Rhea says that it's A, twice over. Vishruti says B. Jyoti says A. Dipendra says C. Murasa says A. And in many cases, majority is correct. In this case, you are correct. The answer is A. So the first one is B. Okay, and the next one is A. So hopefully you got those. We'll look at the answer keys at the end. They're always, of course, in the back of our books, just to confirm. But B and A definitely seem to be the right choices here. All right, and then, unfortunately, there's a little bit of a problem with that student number because the husband seemed to have gotten that letter, and now he's out of town. Why is he out of town? Why is he unavailable? Is it A, he's on vacation? B, work. C, family reasons. Now here, if you use your logic, you can probably guess. Hi, Arcana. Good to see you in class. Arcana, make sure if you have some special requests for classes, send me an email. There's some good opportunities right now. Logic here can help you. Why would he go on vacation without his family? It's a little bit awkward, possible, but unlikely. He could be gone for extended family reasons, but again, his family is there, so why wouldn't he take his family? The most likely answer is B. Hopefully you actually heard the woman say that, but if not, even guessing B would be the best guess in this scenario. So hopefully you got that. Okay, remember, logic is your friend in IELTS listening. Okay, use your logic. All right, so BAB so far. Now this one here, it's 1 point only. You have to get all 3 correct. So the question is, which 3 pieces of information are required to receive the child's personal education number? Notice that here it's just the number 4, which means you need all 3 correct. When it's just 1 point, it's usually something fairly simple. All right, so you have to make 3 choices here. What are the 3 pieces of information? So you have your answer sheet. It will look like this. You'll have a box like that, and you put all 3 letters with commas or no commas in one line there, okay? It should not be just 1. It needs to be 3 letters, okay? So the husband's personal insurance number, the woman's personal insurance number. So a lot of you are saying F, D, and B. So let's try B, D, and F, okay? We'll check in the answer sheet. But for now, that seems to be the popular answer. B, the husband's insurance number. D, the husband's national insurance number. And F, the husband's name. I think one of the pieces of information is the woman's number. You do need to get all 3 correct. I'm not sure. I don't think that's right. But we'll check in the answer key at the very end, okay? All right. So let's go on to the next question. Number 5. How is the husband's name spelt? The woman emphasizes this. She says, because my husband is Swedish, his name ends with what? With a K instead of a C, I believe is what she says. Looks like a lot of you are answering C, so let's keep it C. I believe she says instead of a C, it's a K, if I remember correctly. Okay, so I believe C is the correct answer there, and I think a lot of you are answering that, but I am seeing a lot of different answers. So again, we'll check in the answer key momentarily, okay? All right, again, section 1, you often have to listen to a telephone number, a social insurance or national insurance number, a credit card number, and you have to pick the right one, or you actually have to write it down. If you have to write it down, they usually say it twice. If you have a multiple choice, they might only say it once. So in this case, what is Matilda's personal education number? Is it A, B, or C? Just give me a moment. My camera seems to like falling asleep these days. I'll figure that out over the weekend of why, and I'll give you a second to think about the answer here. Let's see what the most popular response is. All right, here we go. So, looks like most of you are saying it's A. So T563400129. The only difference here is a P instead of a 3. Hopefully you're right with that. I'll go with the majority opinion and say that it's A. But again, we will take a look at the answer key to make sure, okay? So don't mark them right or wrong yet. We're just going through it as a class right now, all right? So keep going. All right, where is the child born? The mother mentions this based on the information given by the speaker. She says that the first letter is the location, Tainamir. And the mother says, yeah, that's correct, because she's born in which city? Yeah, A, Newcastle, right? So that one I'm sure on. I remember that. It was very emphasized in the audio. She's born in Newcastle, so that's right. Okay, so 7's definitely A. Okay, let's keep rolling here. So here again, this is just one question. So you need to put both of the letters into the one space. So you'll see in your answer sheet, there will be a box like this, and you need to choose 2 correct letters to go into this box. What qualifications do many of the nursery school's senior staff have? Okay. 2-year diploma is probably correct, and a bachelor's degree. So B and E, if I remember correctly, are the correct answers as well. The speaker does talk about a master's and a doctorate, but that's only for one person. That's for the head of the nursery school. So most or many of the nursery school staff have a 2-year diploma and a bachelor's degree. All right. Again, you have to really be careful in section 1 because you're trying to get 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 in section 1. All right. The last one is completing these short answers here, or these blanks. Complete the notes below. Write no more than 2 words and or a number for each. What is the first day of class? Okay, Sanim, Jod, Gary. Gary, you get it right. Sanim and Jod with a small s, you'll get it wrong. Okay, so the easiest way is sept 5th. Okay, or even this is unnecessary because if you make a mistake there, it's wrong. So it's sept 5. That's your easiest answer. It's September 5th or 5th of September. Only 2, so just the word for the month and the number, okay? Make sure that you have a big S for September. It's a proper noun. If you write a small s, you will get it wrong, even if the spelling's correct. You will never see September, any month, written in small letters with the first letter. If you type it into Microsoft Word in an English version, you will see that it will always give you a spell check if you write a small s, okay? So September 5th. All right. Then orientation day is the 3rd of September. It makes sense since orientation is always before the first day of class. Gives you the time for that orientation. And then it says someone and children should attend orientation. And parents is correct. Jagdeep, that's okay for number 9. So for this one, it's parents. It doesn't have to be a big P. It can be small. The important point here is the S. You need to have a plural. Children is plural. It's not child, it's children. Children's plural. Parents has to be plural. If it's just parent, then it's wrong, okay? It must be parents and children. All right, girls and guys, rolling along nicely here. Let's take a look at section 2. So here, the audio was a university student taking some parents and their kids on a tour of a university. And here you had to fill out this table with the missing information. So here we have university opened, and number 11, again, 2 words and or a number. It's probably the most common. Number 11, when did the university open? Okay, for all of you who are writing 1686, you're right. Okay, it was 1686, not 90, it's 86. So 1686 is correct. Then, due to lack of funding, it was shut down for these 60 years. And then 1805 to 1815, there were some more buildings built. How many more buildings? This is going to be a number or a word. So how many buildings were built between these years? Not 23. It wasn't 23, girls and guys. There's 23 buildings in total. It wasn't 23 buildings. So there was a less than that. Okay, it's not, if you're writing 23 or 24, you're getting it wrong. 13's a close guess, Ishan. The person says between 1805 and 1815, another dozen buildings were added. So you can write dozen. Hopefully you know the spelling. If not, just write the number 12. Okay, so either dozen or 12 would be okay. All right, I believe that was the correct answer. So 12 buildings were added between these years, or a dozen buildings. All right, the audio says a dozen more buildings. If you don't catch the audio and you're really having trouble hearing the answer, you can always check the transcripts. Most IELTS books have transcripts in the back of the book, and you can find where that information is. Okay, and then the last one, number 13, in the past something years, 7 buildings were constructed. So here for number 13, the correct answer is in the past. Vishruti, very good. ISS, etc. Nemo Ali, excellent, 10 years. Just 10, okay? Don't write 10 years in your answer sheet, Nemo, because you will get it wrong. You can't repeat the word that's given. This is already given, so please don't write years into the answer sheet. Just write the number 10, okay? So, 1686, dozen, or 12, and 10, all right? Basically just numbers in that one, as long as you're catching what they say. Okay, and then the student talks about the very first building that was constructed for this university, called the Prescott Building, and then he describes it as they're looking at it. So based on the description of the student, is it A, B, or C? Very good, Vishruti Gati. Very good, Queen Ria. Very good, Jagdeep. Very good, Gary Brar. It's B. How do we know that it's B? Anybody remember? Why do we know that it is B? What's the piece of information? There's a few different pieces of information that help us identify that diagram. Why is it B? What does the person say that lets you figure that out? Yeah, the length and the width. That's right, Ishan. So the student says that the building is very long. It's 40 meters long. So 40 meters this way and only 8 meters this way. Also, the speaker does say, ISS, etc., that there are 4 circular structures in each corner which house bells that no longer work. Okay, that's a bell, right? With the thing, and you can pull it, and it makes a really nice sound. Ding dong, ding dong. Okay, so these are basically bell towers in each of the corners. So quite a bit of information there to help you identify the right diagram. If you have a diagram type question in section 1 or section 2, It should be fairly easy to figure out. If you see diagrams in section 3 or 4, they will be more difficult. There will be closer matches, and the information will be more complex, more paraphrased. So diagrams in section 1, section 2 are relatively easy to figure out. Diagrams in section 3 and 4 take more listening skills. So pay attention to that, okay? Not just the diagram, but which section of the listening the diagram is in. All right, let's continue on here with number 15. The student talks about former students who were donating various things to the university. The first one is Persian carpets. How many years ago were the Persian carpets donated? It's 2 words and or a number. You really only need one number here, okay? Queen Rhea, you'd get that wrong because it's 3 words. 2 words and or a number, okay? If you're writing 3 words, it's definitely wrong. You only need one, and it's 150, not 15, 150. Careful, Gary. Careful, Sarab. Make sure to practice listening for the difference between 50 and 15, okay? You got to listen for that long E if it's 15. This is 50. It ends much faster, all right? So the answer is just simply 150, okay? You don't need any more words than that. All right, number 16, multiple choice. Again, for multiple choice in the listening, you need to know the answer, not try to discover it from the answers. But if you miss it, just take a guess. Here you have a 33% chance of getting it right. What discounts do students receive at the local pub that was also donated by one of the students? 30, 40, or 3%? Well, 3% would be ridiculous, right? Because that's not really a discount. Nobody would care too much for that. So again, if you're using logic, you should realize that it's either A or B. Okay, so if you can figure out that it's A or B and you didn't hear it, now you're down to a 50-50. If you owned a pub, do you want to give 50% or 40% or 30%? Probably 30%, so A would be a great guess. That is the right answer, okay? So A. All right. So that's what the students receive at the local pub. Now, the last set of answers are for this summary completion, talking about the university's library. Spelling is very important here. 1 word for each number in the blanks, right? So write no more than 2 words and or a number. So maximum 2 words, or maximum a word and a number. In front of the library, there's a beautiful something, and it's fountain, okay? And here, all small letters or all big letters. Don't write a big F. That's kind of weird. I'm not sure if they'll mark it wrong if the F is big, but it should all be small letters. Fountain, okay? A fountain is something that shoots water out of it, something like that, okay? So that would be a fountain, all right? It is a water feature. All right, so number 17 is fountain. It's okay to write all capital letters. It's okay to write all small letters, but again, if you're writing all small letters, I wouldn't write a big F because it's the end of a sentence. Inside the library, the ground floor has how many books? That was kind of a tricky one. Anybody remember how many books are on the bottom floor of the library? That's right, Rajan. Yeah, there's no books. There's 0 books, okay? So no books on that first floor. The upper floors, however, this however can kind of give you a hint that there's something interesting going on here. The upper floors, however, have 3 million books. The collection was built by donations, gifts, and university purchases. Additionally, there is what? Number 19 is probably the most difficult here. So there is what area? Yeah, and this was a tricky one, Sanim and Nemo. You're very close, but unfortunately you'd still get it wrong because you have a missing S. It's a special collections. In this case, there's a plural on the word collection. So here it's special collections area. you need that S. Okay, so you have to listen for it. That's right, Gary Brar. It's a special collections, so you get that one right. Okay, it's a special collections area with works dating back to 1588. Practice listening for those plurals at home before you sit the IELTS exam, because sometimes they do pop up. You either need to have very high level English to know that it's called a special collections area, or you need to be able to hear that S sound. There are many sporting facilities, including the rugby field, which is home to the rugby team, which has won 3 of the past 5 what? So number 20, 3 of the past 5 what? Queen Rhea, how do you know it's plural? Well, just what I said. You hear the S, or you've learned that in a library it's called a special collections area. ISSEC, you have 1 of the 2 words necessary. Championships will not be enough for number 20. Okay? Again, pay attention to that 2 words. Championships is not enough. Jod Singh, that's right. National championships. National championships. Okay? Again, it's plural because it's 3 of the past 5, so it's not 1, but it's 3, so it has to be championships. But it's not just any championships. So it's not the city championships, it's not the international championships, it's the national championships. So you must have both words here to get it correct. If you just have the word championships, it's not enough. You won't get it right. Okay? When the adjective is critical to the specific idea, you have to have the adjective. All right, let's take a quick peek at the answer key so you can count up and make sure that you have the right answers for these questions, and then we'll do section 3 and section 4 as well. Okay, so give me one moment here. Let me bring up the answer keys for you, and then we'll take a look and do section 3 and section 4 so you can get a total score. Okay, so here are the answers. Now in our book, it's on page 223. We also have the answers time-coded. So if you have our materials at gieltshelp.com or ahelp.com, then this is kind of unique. Most companies don't do this, where they actually show you the exact time of the answers. So you know that number 1, you should hear it between 2 minutes and 47 seconds and 2 minutes and 50 seconds. So if you have our books, please do pay attention to that to help you improve your listening. So number 1 is B, number 2 is A, number 3 is B, number 4 was C, D, and F. Okay, so make sure you have C, D, and F for number 4. Okay, number 5 is C, number 6 is A, number 7 is A, 8 is B and E, so good job. Most of you, I think, got it there. Number 9 is 5 September or 5 Sept or Sept 5. Okay, so 5th of September. Number 10 is parents. Okay, 11 was 1686. It's a dozen or 12. Okay, dozen or 12 for number 12. Number 13 is 10. Number 14 is B. Number 15 is 150. Number 16 is A. Okay, so keep marking, because at the very end of today's class, you will have a chance to figure out your band score for the listening. Okay, so here we go. Number 17 was fountain. Make sure you have correct spelling. Number 18 is 0 or no books. Both are okay there. 19 is special collections with an S. Number 20 is national championships with an S. Jod Singh, 17 out of 20 is quite good, okay? Make sure that you're not favoring any of your answers. If you have spelling mistakes, then mark them wrong, because the IELTS will definitely mark them wrong, okay? 14, Gary Brar, it's not bad. You want to try to pull that up a little bit, because section 3 and 4 will be more difficult. So that's the answers. Keep counting, girls and guys. So count up your answers. Get those pencils and papers ready, because we're going right into section 3 and section 4. So again, please do not put answers into the chat, because we want to give everybody a fair chance to answer these questions. So wait until the end. As you can see, we are going through the answers together, and you will have a chance to give your opinion when we review the answers. So here we go with part 3. Pens, pencils, papers ready. Focus, visualize, try to see the situation, and move nice and smoothly with the audio. Let's pop back to our website here. CD3, track 3 for test 3, section 3. Here we go.
Battery, 40%.
To look at questions 21 to 26. Listening, section 3. You will hear a public forum discussion between the moderator and 2 contributors, Dr. Philip McPhee and Dr. Ron Tatum, both political scientists at the local university, talking about the nature of taxes in society. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
First of all, I would like to thank Dr. McPhee and Dr. Tatum for taking time out of their busy lives to spend this evening with us.
Thank you for having us.
Dr. McPhee, could you give us a little bit of the history of taxation?
Certainly. Taxes have been around almost as long as civilization itself. There are records of taxes being collected by Egyptian pharaohs approximately 5,000 years ago. It was customary to give 20% of your production to the pharaoh, and those who evaded taxes were severely punished.
Dr. Tatum, what are the reasons for taxes?
Well, there are essentially 3 major reasons for taxes. The first and most obvious reason is revenue. Governments need money, and taxes fulfill this need. The government then spends this tax revenue on investments that are good for society, such as healthcare, schools and roads. Funding the army would fall under this category as well. The second reason for taxation is for the redistribution of wealth. In simpler terms, this means taking money from the rich and giving it to the poor. Many societies do this out of a belief that it is the responsibility of the government to look after the poor people in society. I'll let Dr. McPhee talk about the final reason for taxation, called repricing.
Thank you, Dr. Tatum. Yes, the third main reason for taxation is called repricing, and by this we mean changing the price of a product to a different, generally higher price. This may sound quite strange, but if you bear with me, you'll see that it makes perfect sense. In general, products are allowed to be priced in a free market. That is to say, whoever can provide goods for the lowest price is the most successful. However, there are certain types of goods that we don't allow to go to the free market. In many countries, these are goods like tobacco and alcohol. These goods are subject to a repricing tax, which is used to discourage people from using the product. Also, these repricing taxes help offset the future medical costs associated with the people who use tobacco and alcohol excessively.
You now have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen to the rest of the discussion and answer questions 27 to 30.
Very well. Do you favour higher or lower taxes?
I am a strong proponent of higher taxes. The reason for this is simply that it is easier to make money when you already have money. This gives a massive advantage to those people who may have inherited money or come from rich families, because money is so much easier to gain for these people if used wisely. Taxing them seems only fair and for the greater good. This compensates the poorer sections of society who really have little or no hope to gain financial success.
I understand Dr. Tatham's position, but one has to be wary of the fact that if taxes are too high for businesses, then those businesses will leave the country in favour of countries with lower taxes. Of course, it would be nice if we could legislate a worldwide tax structure, but this is simply not attainable. And I'm sure by the time it becomes attainable, companies will likely have opportunities to leave for another planet with more favourable tax structure.
Yes, you're right, Dr. McPhee. We must always be mindful of staying competitive. It is like a tightrope we must walk between compensating those less fortunate and being able to stay competitive in the market. Because if we fail to be competitive, then tax revenue will dry up, resulting in no money at all for the lower economic classes. So this is an extremely difficult balancing act.
Which leads to my next question. What is the future of taxation?
I believe you will see higher taxes in 50 years than there are today, just as we have higher taxes today than 50 years ago. We will need even more money for projects like high-speed transit, new roads, new technologies. Also, with an ageing population, medical costs could soar in the near future, resulting in higher taxes to support this healthcare system.
I think the future will be a lot like the present, walking the tightrope as Dr. Tatham mentioned. Where that takes us, I'm not sure. If I had to guess, I'd say higher taxes for the reasons Dr. Tatham outlined. However, another important variable to consider is whether free markets can really be allowed.
That is the end of section 3. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
Okay, and again, you want to use that half minute to check your answers, okay? Again, pay attention to spelling, pay attention to the exact question, and use logic, okay? So in the 30 seconds that you have to review, use logic, and use it also in the 10 minutes where you have time to transfer your answers to the answer sheet from the question book, okay? Logic can help you a lot. Now here we go with section 4.
Listening section 4. You will hear a lecture about English scientist Isaac Newton. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Today we are going to discuss the life and achievements of the famous English scientist Sir Isaac Newton. Many consider Newton to be the most brilliant man to have ever lived, and many consider his achievements the greatest ever achieved by one man. Newton himself was not so sure, as he famously told his followers, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." While it may be true that he built upon the foundation of scientists before him, he still managed to see further than anyone else had, and to this day his accomplishments stand the test of time. Isaac Newton was born in England in 1643. He studied at the King's School in Grantham from age 12 to 17. After leaving school, his mother tried to make him into a farmer, but that was not going to be sufficient for young Isaac. A year later, in 1661, on the recommendation of one of his teachers at the King's School in Grantham, Newton was admitted to Trinity College in Cambridge, where he eventually became a teacher 6 years later. Newton is perhaps most famous for his work on gravity. A well-known story says that Newton realized the nature of gravity while he was sitting under a tree and an apple fell on his head. This story may or may not be true, but the underlying principle is valuable. Newton made the astonishing discovery that the same force that makes an apple fall to the earth also makes the earth revolve around the sun and the moon revolve around the earth. Until this time, scientists such as René Descartes and Gottfried Leibniz had believed that the planets moved in some sort of matter, something they called an ether. Newton demonstrated that no such ether was required. Descartes and Leibniz also had little explanation for why apples fall to the earth. Newton's theory accounted for this almost perfectly. During the 20th century, Newton's theory came under attack by the German physicist Albert Einstein, whose theory of relativity was said to replace Newton's theory of gravitation. This is simply not true. Einstein's theory is a landmark achievement in science, but it did not replace Newton's theory, it merely improved it. To picture this, think of a smooth ball, perhaps a billiard ball. In this experiment of the mind, Newton tells us that the ball is smooth. However, Einstein says that the ball has small imperfections, dents, cuts, and scrapes. Who is right? The answer is both of them. Newton is correct on a macroscopic scale. When we look at the ball from a distance, the ball is smooth. However, Einstein is correct as well. The ball does have imperfections. He is correct on a macroscopic and a microscopic scale. Another of Newton's important achievements is the reflecting telescope. Previously, Galileo had used lenses to construct his telescope, but Newton was the first to use mirrors in a telescope. Today's telescopes are almost all made of mirrors as opposed to lenses, which again speaks to Newton's brilliance. There are a number of reasons the mirror is an improvement over the lens in telescopes. First, mirrors do not warp as easily as lenses do, and by that I mean that lenses can lose their shape in hot or cold weather quite easily. Second, telescopes with mirrors take up less space because of their shorter focal distance. Third, telescopes with mirrors can be built far larger because the mirrors themselves can be built larger. An achievement of Newton's that must not be overlooked is Newton's discovery of calculus. Although the discovery was not without controversy, Gottfried Leibniz also claims to have invented calculus at approximately the same time. Nobody really knows the truth, but it is accepted that they discovered it separately. In any case, it was a brilliant achievement by both scientists. Newton died in March 1727, and his body was laid to rest at Westminster Abbey in London, in a famous above-ground tomb. He was 84.
That is the end of section 4. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, so that is the end of section 4, and a big congratulations and applause to all you girls and guys who stuck with it from beginning to end. Good for you. It is very important to practice full listening sections at home before you sit the exam. In fact, it's very important to practice full IELTS exams at home before you sit the IELTS exam. Why? Because sitting for 2 hours and doing this test, or almost 3 hours, sorry, I should say, 2 hours and 45 minutes to 3 hours, it takes a lot out of you, and it takes training and endurance. So this is like when you're training for a marathon. You can't just run 5 kilometers every day and say, yay, I'm ready to run a marathon for 40 kilometers. You really need, you're going to be in trouble if you do that. If you want to run a marathon, you need to practice running a marathon. You need to practice running 40 kilometers. So the big strategy that I'm going for here today, Rowan, is endurance, okay? So I was focusing you here on being full of energy and effective throughout 4 sections, okay? So yes, Arcano, you're right. It does take 4 hours if you calculate the speaking section as well, but that's sometimes done separately. So here we go. Let's look at the answer key for this. I'm not going to go through it one by one here because it will take just way too long, but let's look at the answer key. for section 3 and 4, and then you can tell me your scores and I'll tell you your band score, okay? So here's the answer for number 21. Again, if you're very curious about how these answers are achieved or where they're coming from, sign up for our full course. Check out what's going on in these time frames. Look at the transcripts and you'll figure that out. So for number 21, it was 2,000. They said 20% of an Egyptian's income would go to the pharaoh. The question asks, what if the person had 10,000 Egyptian dollars? Then 20% would be 2,000. So that's why for that first one. Number 22 is revenue, spelled R-E-V-E-N-U-E. Number 23 is redistribution. Okay. 20% is not correct, Murasa Bishru. It has to be 2,000. The question is asking how much money does the person have to give if they make 10,000. So for section 3 and section 4 listening, sometimes you have to do some simple math. 20% is not okay. It has to be 2,000. All right? So correct answers are 2,000, revenue, redistribution. And then for 24, 25, 26, that flow chart, the answer is E, B, and D. Okay? Now, the correct answers for the next one, 27 to 29, this is worth 3 marks, and you can have them in any order. You notice the 3 variable times there is B, D, and F. The order doesn't matter. You could have D, F, and B, F, D, and B. Really doesn't matter. Last one for section 3, the answer was C. Okay? So keep counting it up, girls and guys. Keep counting it up. If Arkan is asking if one of the multiple choice answers is wrong, could you get the scores for the others? Yes. Yes, in this one you can because it's 3 questions. So in your answer sheets, you'd have 27, 28, 29. So if one of them's wrong but 2 of them's right, you'll pick up 2 marks and you'll get 1 wrong. If it's just 1 question, like let's say it was only just 29, then no. Then if you have 1 wrong, then the whole question is wrong, okay? But in this case, you can still pick up 2 points. All right, 31. From the age of 12 to 17, Newton went to King's School in Grantham, I believe it was. So 12 and 17, you can have a comma or have a big space between the two. That's fine. Number 32, farmer. His mom wanted him to be a farmer. He did not become a farmer. Instead, he became a teacher. So number 33 was teacher. Number 34 was C. So here you had to match up the scientists with the correct theory or the correct discovery behind them. Number 34 was C. Number 35 was D. 36 B. 37 A. Okay. For 38, we are talking about lenses and mirrors and telescopes. Telescopes are those big long tubes that we use to look at space. Tele meaning far, scope meaning view. 38 was warp or warp easily. You could have 2 words. One was enough, just warp is enough. 39, focal length. So the focal length is much better for mirrors, I believe was the concept there. And number 40, the last one was multiple choice. Leibniz and Newton invented calculus at the same time separately. So they were not working together. They were working on their own, one in Germany, one in England, and they both thought of calculus roughly at the same time. So number 40 was B, okay? All right, girls and guys, so now count up your mark and know how you did, okay? The strategy, the other strategy that I'm teaching you here as well, Rawan was saying, hey, where's the strategy here? Another important strategy is for IELTS, assess yourself. So make sure to measure your ability, figure out where your mistakes are, what types of questions are difficult for you, and target focus on those questions. Our websites have strategies for every kind of question in the listening. as well as general strategies for the listening. So when you know what questions or which questions are the weakest for you, you can look at those specific strategies on the website. All right, so another nice feature of the website at the very, very bottom here, maybe you can see that. You have a score calculator. You can use that for free if you just go to our website. So open that up. And then this is for academic. The listening is the same in general and academic, but the reading's different, so make sure you're using the correct website. And then in the score calculator, all you have to do is just enter your raw score from 40. I just want to make sure it's the listening. Yep, the first one. And then it'll give you your band score. So let's see how you girls and guys did. So Pradeep Mokhtan says 33. 33 is a 7.5. Pradeep, let me take the light down since the background's white here. And then you'll see it better, okay? Let's see, that should be pretty good there. So 33 is 7.5. Vishruti Gati says 29. 29 is 6.5. Vishruti. Queen Rhea, 14 out of 40. I'll tell you what that is in a second here. That's a 4.5, okay? Definitely want to practice. Sanim Tamang says 29. 29 is a 6.5. Okay. Gary Brard, 25. Let's check that out. 25 is a 6, Gary. An Shayan Sherpa, 20. 20 is a 5.5. Okay. Depeche, what'd you get? 21? Okay, let's check that out. I think it's still 5.5. Yeah. Yeah, 2021 is 5.5 Depeche. Jagdeep says 24. Let's check that one out. 24 is a 6. I think the threshold is at 23 for 5.5 to 6. Let me check. Yeah, so 22 is a 5.5, and if you get one more at 23, then you're up at a 6. Okay? Harmeet, 19. Let me have a peek at that for you. 19 is a 5.5 as well, Harmeet. Okay? Ishan, that's a nice score, 35. You'll be getting up there with that one. That's an 8. Okay, 35 is an 8. ISSEC, 32. That's going to be a 7, 7.5. Yep, 7.5 for 32. Okay, girls and guys, don't panic if your score wasn't what you expected. And now you know where you're at. You know what you need to do to practice. If you don't, send me an email, let me know what you got, and say, hey, Adrian, what do you think? What should I do? And I can give you some feedback on what I think you can do to improve your score and get higher results the next time around. So again, girls and guys, yes, it's a sales pitch, but it's for your benefit. It's cheaper to get good materials and practice the right strategies at home than spend another $300 for an IELTS exam. So if you're studying for academic IELTS, definitely check us out at aehelp.com. If you're studying for general IELTS, definitely check us out at gieltshelp.com. We've released an app for you as well. Lots of free materials that you can use and some videos there for you also. Sponsors, Arcana, you're very welcome. Sponsors, Arcana, remember, send me special requests for classes. Now is a great time. I put a comment post on our YouTube channel for that as well. So thank you everybody for watching. I hope that you got some good practice in, you got some good flow for the listening section. I appreciate your viewership, and I appreciate all your effort and your comments. You have beautiful brains. Keep studying hard. You will master English, you will master communication, and you will become successful, happy people in life. I do believe in you. I believe in your ability, so keep it up, okay? Much love, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Have a beautiful evening, beautiful night, and a fresh start to tomorrow. Bye for now.